Good morning. No, it's not morning. It's evening. It's morning when I'm recording. I had my notes somewhere. Like literally 2 seconds ago. So good evening. Welcome to MOPS. I am so glad you're here. I'm glad you made it. I'm glad you were able to carve out the time is a little bit of a cliche. I'm gonna go with push away, like dig out the time. So welcome. I'm really glad you're here. Tonight is a craft night and I'm so excited to do the thing that Lauren and Devin have prepped for us. I'm all about the craft nights. It's like a craft that you get to do that you don't have to prep. You don't have to go to Hobby Lobby. You don't have to clean up the mess like in your house. You don't have to worry about what to do. It's just all ready for you and you can do it and you have something to do with your hands while you fellowship with your sisters. So yay for crafts. And Lauren and Devin, how great are they, right? Oh, and we have a super fun game. I mean, it's a game that I just stole from Jimmy Fallon, and not even like the idea of it, like I watched it and typed out exactly what they said it did. If you've ever seen his Mad Lib theater, it's that, so be excited. First, I wanted to share a few thoughts for today, for this morning, not this morning, this evening. I know I've read to you guys from this book before, but it's one of my favorites. I do read other books, but this is a favorite. And it's something that I find myself just coming back to again and again. So I wanted to share with you a little bit from her chapter on peace and sharing peace. It's story time. Settle into your chair. I've got my fire going here. I love these chairs. It's a rocking chair. So, here we go. This is a chapter on, it's titled, you see my bookmark with the toilet paper, because I was reading. You don't need to know that. Okay. Fighting with my husband. Appropriate, because Valentine's Day is coming up, right? My husband stopped by at midday to pick something up at the house. We had a fight. I would call it an argument, but that sounds too reasonable. Like we were coolly debating opposing sides of an issue. Logical, rational, collected. The stuff to make marriage therapists proud. This was hardly that. Because most often what we're arguing about, in this case a decision about our daughter's school, isn't really what we're arguing about. What we're actually arguing about is our fears, anxieties, and identities and hopes. And we're arguing about the sharpness in our voices, and who interrupts whom and how often, and about a passing comment he made yesterday and a look I gave this morning. These are the patterns in family life that make it hard to be patient and gentle and kind. I'm not mad that you threw your shirt on the floor today. I'm mad about the last 300 times you've thrown your shirt on the floor. Or more painfully, it's not just that I'm mad about your criticism today. It's how a pattern of criticism, comment by passing comment, bumps up against my own patterns of sin, woundedness, and self-defensiveness. Today's conflict is not a marital crisis. There was no profound betrayal or lie or scandal. It is a burr in the saddle conflict over the kind of habitual resentment that, if we let it, builds. We start by talking about something casual. Then I fret aloud and he dismisses it because I've fretted aloud so often that it's a pattern. And I say something sarcastic and it escalates from there until one or both of us yells and then one or both of us leaves the room. Thankfully, we have a small house. We can't get too far away from each other. So we play chicken. I sigh loudly. He gets on the computer. We wait to see who will lay down their sword first. It takes a lot of bravery to lay down a sword. more bravery than either of us have at the moment. So we sit in stony silence. The truth is, I get along with most people pretty well. When I do have conflicts, it is usually with those I love the most. The struggle to, quote, love thy neighbor is most often tested in my home, with my husband and my kids, and when I'm tired, fearful, discouraged, off my game, or want to be left alone. For most of my 20s, I was part of a movement in evangelicalism that valued a radical, edgy kind of faith. I wanted to change the world, at least a little part of it. I wanted to be part of a community that sought justice and served the least of these. What drew me to that kind of work, besides the clear call of Scripture, was a longing for and vision of God's shalom, a very pregnant word that means God's all-consuming, all-redeeming peace. The hope of a kingdom where God is worshipped wholly, where humanity extends love and mercy with generosity, where injustice is broken and the oppressor set free, was and is inconceivably beautiful and intoxicating. But now that I'm older and a wife and a mom, the radiant vision of God's kingdom remains immensely compelling to me. And yet, though I profess big ideas about the beauty of shalom and Christ's ministry of peace crashing into our world, I often find myself squabbling and quarreling my way through the day with those I love the most. I'm a pacifist who yells at her husband. But I am increasingly aware that I cannot seek God's peace and mission in the world without beginning right where I am, in my home, in my neighborhood, in my church, with the real people right around me. At my church on Sunday morning, right before communion, we pass the peace. At the churches I've been to, this mostly looks like chaos. Parishioners turn to each other and say, "Peace of Christ to you," or "Grace and peace." That's what we do at Sanctuary. Or, "Hey," or "My name is Jim." Kids run around the sanctuary. People talk. It's loud. The gregarious mingle and laugh. That's me. Others shift awkwardly, not quite sure what to do, waiting to just get on with it. This practice of passing the peace has been part of Christian worship since the dawn of the church. And our early Christian brothers and sisters didn't settle for a handshake or awkward side hug. They kissed each other. Germs! A practice which emerged in part from the ancient Jewish custom of greeting guests with a kiss before a meal. Early Christians were so intent on ensuring the passing of the peace was a time of real reconciliation and not a mere formality that in 3rd century Eastern churches, a deacon would stand up during the passing of the peace and cry, "Is there any man that keepeth aught against his fellow?" Early Christians took seriously Jesus' teaching in Matthew 5 that if someone is approaching the altar but remembers that their brother has something against them, they must leave and go make peace with the offended brother before offering a gift to God. So before the meal of peace, we speak to those nearest to us. More than once, my husband and I have had to get up in the middle of the passing of peace and go outside to talk through an argument we had on the way to church. Side note, my husband and I have totally done this. A friend of mine, gonna skip that part. The passing of the peace finds its way into our day, mostly in small, unseen moments, as we live together seeking to love those people who are the constants, the furniture in our lives. The passing of the peace finds its way into our day, mostly in the small, unseen moments, as we live together seeking to love those people who are constants, the furniture in our lives, parents, spouses, kids, friends, enemies, the barista that we chat with each week as we wait for coffee, the people in the pew behind us with the noisy toddler, the old man next door who doesn't get out much. In these tiny, unseen interactions, we reenact the passing of... In these tiny, unseen interactions, we reenact the passing of the peace that we practice on Sunday. Peace of Christ to you is instantiated as I hand my toddler carrot sticks, Respond patiently to Jonathan when I feel slight. In these tiny, unseen interactions, we reenact the passing of the peace that we practice on Sunday. Peace of Christ to you is instantiated as I hand my toddler carrot sticks, respond patiently to my husband when I feel slighted, or genuinely celebrate a friend's upcoming vacation, even though I know I'd never be able to afford it myself. Ordinary love, anonymous and unnoticed as it is the substance of peace on earth, the currency of God's grace in our daily life. But today, I blew it. I lost my patience with my husband. I spoke sarcastically. I honestly didn't care much about peace. After 20 minutes of playing chicken, we cave. I apologize. He does too. We forgive each other. Dropping my sword and walking into the next room to apologize felt like a kind of dying. It smarted. We'll have to keep forgiving all day. Every time we think back to our argument, every time we're tempted to pick up the sword again. Peace takes a whole lot of work. Conflict and resentment seem to be the easier route. Shorter anyway, less humiliating. And Lamont writes, I love this, that we learn the practice of reconciliation by starting with those nearest us. Earth is forgiveness school. You might as well start at the dinner table. That way you can do this work in comfy pants. I hope you were encouraged by that. I was just reading it again. I'm going to explain the game, and then we will hear from Lauren about our craft. So we are going to play Jimmy Fallon's Mad Lib Theater. Here's how you do it. Without looking at the scene, together with your group, fill out the first page of words. Then you're going to choose 2 actors to play the scene, and then fill in your scene with the words from the first page. Then you'll perform for the group. It's very exciting, you guys. Virtual mamas, please, 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 please. This is what my daughter does when she really wants them. Please. See, can you record it? Try? I want to see it so bad. Okay. I think that's it. Okay. Again, thank you all for being here. I love you all. And welcome, Lauren.